It's Thursday, the 21st of July, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to rip through in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Big one for story number 1, and not necessarily good news for anyone with a home loan. The Governor of the Reserve Bank, Philip Lowe, yesterday suggested that the official cash rate is likely to double in coming months, and that means variable mortgage rates of close to 7%.
It's a long way from the less than 3% people were paying at the beginning of this year. Dr. Lowe stressed the importance of getting inflation back to within the bank's 2 to 3% target band, and he said a cash rate of 2.5% was probably about neutral, so that's where it's headed. The official cash rate is currently 1.35%. Now, whether it goes beyond that 2.5% very much depends on what people think will happen to prices. Dr. Lowe said if business and workers expect higher inflation on an ongoing basis, then it will be harder to get actual inflation back to the target, and that'll mean more rate rises. What's that mean for us? Well, on a $750,000 loan with 25 years to go, a 0.5 percentage point rise adds about $226 to monthly repayments, according to Rate City. We're talking about 3 or 4 of those. We're talking somewhere between $670 and $900 a month more by the time the cash rate gets to neutral or a bit beyond.
Ouch. All right, on to story number 2, Sean. And a major report into the Victorian Labor Party has said that the culture is rotten. It includes 21 recommendations, and it certainly isn't kind to Premier Daniel Andrews. This is a big story.
Sure is. The 236-page report by the state's independent broad-based anti-corruption commission comes 4 months before the next state election and doesn't hold back. It warns of ongoing corruption risks, concludes that 2 former ministers breached the ministerial code of conduct, and while it clears Mr Andrews of any direct findings, excerpts of his secret evidence show he was aware of branch stacking. He also knew about the scheme to use electorate staffers in the 2014 election campaign known as the Red Shirts Rort, which was later found to have misused taxpayer funds. Mr Andrews yesterday said he took full responsibility and would adopt all recommendations, but I think there's still a way to go on this one.
Sean, story number 3. We've spoken a fair bit recently about the risk of foot and mouth disease entering the country, particularly because there's been such a large outbreak in Indonesia.
That's right, and unfortunately foot and mouth disease fragments have been detected on luggage and goods brought into Australia from Indonesia and China. Because the fragments are not live, Australia will retain its foot and mouth disease-free status. It's really serious, this. The CSIRO has estimated the cost of an outbreak at $80 billion, with the greatest damage to the live cattle industry. Agriculture Minister Murray Watt yesterday said sanitation foot mats will be rolled out in Australia's international airports to hopefully prevent the disease entering the country.
All right, story number 4 today, Sean. The streaming service Netflix said it lost nearly 1 million subscribers globally in the June quarter, but it could have been a lot worse if not for one show.
That's right. Now, look, Netflix has been sold down sharply on fears that people weren't using it anywhere near as much as they did during the pandemic, and the numbers were going backwards. Then along came Stranger Things, which not only put Kate Bush back on top of the British pop charts, but also saved Netflix from disaster. Following the release of the latest subscriber numbers, Netflix share price jumped 12%, but they're still down 67% this year. Stranger Things really has led a revival, and the streaming service expects to recoup lost subscribers during the September quarter.
And finally, Sean, story number 5. I love this one. Restaurant portions in the United States are getting smaller, and of course, diners are not happy.
Shrinkflation, they're calling it. It's the paring down of serving sizes to offset higher costs. It's actually not uncommon in inflationary environments such as the one the US is currently experiencing. Now, having eaten a lot of food in the US, I don't think smaller portions is a bad idea. Anyway, shrinkflation is on the rise in the US. It's gotten so noticeable that consumers are venting about it online, according to review website operator Yelp. Now, Bloomberg reports that the most complained about restaurants are those serving low-cost menu items. These include hot dogs, burgers, and pizza. There you go.
Fair enough. All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 21st of July, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. And don't forget, every Thursday, you can also hear Safe Word by Fear and Greed, our lighter look at the world of business, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was The Fast Five by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.